If you want to up-level your videos quickly and easily, there is one thing that can make a video more interesting, easier to understand, and get people to stick around longer. I'm talking about B-roll. Now today we're going to cover what B-roll is, why it's so important, and how you can easily start adding B-roll to your videos using Canva's video editing tools. Plus, a few tips to make it simple and effective. So what is B-roll anyway? In simple terms, B-roll is the extra footage that enhances your main content. If your A-roll is your primary video, like me talking to the camera, then B-roll would be any clips that complement that show what you're talking about. It could be close-ups of the same scene, it could be establishing shots to give a wider perspective, or even cutaways to a totally different scene for more explanation. For instance, if you're talking about a new gadget, your A-roll might be you describing it. Your B-roll could be close-ups of the gadget in action, or a cutaway to a clip of you using the gadget IRL, which is how we say in real life now. What about social video? Well, B-roll plays a special role in social video in two ways. Social platforms thrive on fast-paced, visually dynamic content. So instead of just you talking, B-roll breaks up the visuals, keeping things fresh and engaging, and they can up the pace to make it feel exciting. Secondly, a lot of videos for social revert to B-roll when they're talking about using video clips as a background for the content, usually for text or graphics of some kind. For example, let's say you're making a 15-second reel for Instagram. Adding quick cuts of B-roll, whether it's close-ups, cutaways, memes, or GIFs, can make your video feel more exciting. Or you could upload a longer clip that you filmed of yourself just making coffee at home or sitting in the garden, and you could use that as a background for you to add some text boxes with your message or story overlaying that video. Either way, people are more likely to watch the whole thing because the video is more engaging, and that's the goal, right? That's why B-roll is so important. But beyond just making your video look more polished and adding interest, B-roll also serves as a tool for better storytelling and better communicating your message or idea. So instead of just telling your viewers something, you can show them through B-roll footage. Or you could use background B-roll to A, create the right vibe or tone that you want to communicate, or B, to let people get to know you a little more. Studies even show that videos using B-roll have better engagement and retention rates. And we know that Instagram and YouTube's algorithms love that. More engagement means more visibility for your video and for your brand. So let's jump into Canva and I will show you exactly how to add B-roll to your videos quickly and easily. We're going to start with the simple horizontal video canvas in Canva. This is just using the Canva YouTube template, and that just means that it's 1920 pixels wide by 1080 pixels high. The first thing we want to do is make sure our clips are accessible and available to us in Canva. Now, if you're using clips from the Canva video library for B-roll, that's no problem. But if you want to upload your own, you can either go to Uploads on the left and click Upload Files. Then you can find your file and just click Open, and it will bring it into your uploads. If you happen to do that and you can't see the file, it's probably because you haven't noticed the individual tabs at the top here that allow you to see uploaded images or videos or audio. Another way to bring in a file is just to find that video file on your desktop or your computer and click and drag it onto the canvas. Once you've done that, it will be on the canvas, but you'll see on the left-hand side it indicates that it's uploading, which means you can delete it from the canvas and it will still be in your uploads folder as if you'd done it the other way. The first thing we want to do is to add in our A-roll. So for this one, we're going to use a talking head video that I uploaded before. I'm going to go to my uploads folder and just click on that video to insert it into the canvas. I can click on it and either manually resize it for this video size, or I can just right click and choose Set Video as Background, because we know that's going to be our primary clip and it's good for this to just be the full background of this video. It's always easier to work with your A-roll as one long individual clip, particularly in Canva. And the reason for this is that if you're working with something that's already separate pieces as your A-roll clip, adding things on top of those can get complicated with different timings, and that can be difficult to adjust using Canva's video tool. So I would suggest you do all the edits to your A-roll and then export that as one single video file that you can use as the basis for your video with B-roll. The next thing we want to do is to decide where we want to add B-roll clips. So I'm just going to play through my video and find where there are a couple of moments that I think would be good to add a B-roll clip. I'm going to stop at that position, and then the easiest way to do this is to go to Elements, scroll down to Frames, and click on a frame that you can resize. Now, you can just resize this frame to fit the entire page or the entire canvas. And then the next thing you want to do is to just right-click and choose Show Timing. You can also click on the three little dots on the pop-up menu. Now I'm going to just click and drag this so that it appears where that playhead is, which is where I stopped, because that's where I want my B-roll to come in. And I'm going to trim this frame so that it's just on for a couple of seconds. So if we drag our playhead back and just play, you'll see I chat for a bit, we switch to a clip of B-roll, and then we go back to me chatting. Now, the reason that it's good to do this with a frame is because sometimes if you click and drag a clip that's very long into this section where you just want a short clip, if the frame isn't already timed, it can stretch across the whole clip, and that can be a little difficult to manage. But because we put in a frame already, it means that any clip that we drag in will just go into that frame. So I'm going to position my playhead where the frame is, and then I'm going to go to my uploads, and I'm going to drag in that clip that I wanted before that I've just uploaded as B-roll. That goes in here, and you'll see it just fits for those few seconds. If I want to adjust the bit of this clip that just shows for those 2 seconds, I can just click on the little trim icon at the top here, and you'll see that it allows me to then trim this so that just the bits that I want are showing. I can click Done, and then when I click the playhead, drag it back, and then play through, you'll see the B-roll is there with me chatting. It pops in for a few seconds, and then disappears. And that's really as simple as it is to add in the B-roll. There are a few things to remember and a few things that you can use to make it a little more interesting, even just using simple B-roll. The first is that you can then move this frame anywhere along your timeline. So I'm just going to click on the thumbnail zoom on the bottom right here and zoom in a little so it's easier to manage. And if I now click on that frame that we put our clip in, I can move that along anywhere on the timeline to adjust where my B-roll clip appears. So it's really simple and easy to manage that, and of course I can trim it to make it a little shorter or a little longer, depending on what I'd prefer. Another really important thing to note is that sometimes B-roll clips that you import or that you filmed may have audio on them, and you don't want that audio to clash with the audio of the A-roll, which is usually the talking head. So when you click on that B-roll clip, if you go to the top to audio, you can just click on that and then click on the little volume icon, which will actually mute any audio that's on that B-roll clip. You can then just close that tab, and it means that now you are certain that there is no audio on the B-roll that will conflict with the A-roll audio. Another thing to remember is that B-roll doesn't always have to just be full screen video. You could do some really creative things with B-roll. So for example, I may want to have this B-roll just as something that pops in as a kind of picture-in-picture effect. So I would just click on and resize the frame that the video is in, and then see where I wanted it to appear in my video. So it will still appear, but it won't take up the full screen, and I can still have that there for explanation, but people can still see me talking if that's something that I want. The other thing that you could do, of course, is that you can animate these frames just as you would any other element in Canva. So if you go to Animate, and for example with this one we're going to choose Baseline, and I'm going to have it appearing from the left-hand side. I'm going to reverse the exit animation, and that just means that the B-roll will now very neatly appear from the left-hand side and then slide back when it's done. So you can always add animations to these frames like any element in Canva. Now, one of the things about B-roll is that it's not supposed to detract from the main video. It's supposed to help support your A-roll and to help explain that a bit more, bring that to life, or to help you communicate a message more, not to draw attention away from it. But that doesn't mean that you can't do some really fun things with B-roll, particularly in Canva. So one of the things that you could do is you could actually go back to your frames and add, for example, a circular frame. Then go to your video library, drag in some B-roll, and you can then resize that and adjust the timing of it And that just means that you could have a B-roll that pops in for a few seconds in a circle, and it's a little more interesting than just having that usual rectangular frame. But of course, try not to detract from your A-roll. And you can always go to the audio library in Canva, and you could choose, for example, a sound effect like a whoosh or a transition, and you could layer that in so that as your B-roll pops in, that sound effect activates, adding a little more interest, and so it draws attention to the B-roll a little more. The last thing I wanted to mention was in connection with using B-roll for social video. Now, when you're using B-roll as a background in social video, the key thing really is that whatever you're overlaying on that video, whether it's text or graphics or something else, you want to make sure that that stands out. The video is just essentially the background. You don't want it to clash with the main content or the main message of your social video. And so the best way to do that is to use Canva's video editing tools to adjust those video clips that you bring in so that they look more like a background. So for example, in this file, which is just a social video canvas in Canva, I'm going to go to the Canva video library, and I'm going to just click on a clip that I want to use as a background. This is a busy city clip, and although it's really nice and it works well as a background, that's going to clash with, for example, white text over this. And so there are a couple of ways that you can make this work for you. The first is to click on the clip, click on Edit, and then use the Adjust tools. And I would suggest that you take the brightness down a little, and you take the contrast down all the way, and you'll see it kind of fades the video out a bit. And that now immediately provides a more neutral and less contrasting background for you to overlay text or text boxes or graphics. The other thing you could do would be to just add a simple rectangle, resize it so that it fits over that video, make it a dark color or a light color depending on how you're using this background, and then just adjust the transparency so that you can see the background but that it's much darker because you have a darker overlay. And now if you overlay white text or any kind of graphics over this, they will stand out a bit more, but you will still have that great movement in the background to add interest to your videos. Just getting familiar with these tools means that you can get really creative with it, or you can just keep it simple. Either way, you can use Canva to elevate your videos with B-roll with minimal hassle. If you're interested in learning more about what Canva's video tools are really capable of, I'd love to invite you to join my weekly newsletter called Meaningful Creations. So every week I share resources and new tutorials, as well as inspiration and my own honest insights to help you up-level your Canva and your design skills, and to help you keep inspired to keep creating. If you just go to the link on the screen right now or in the description below the video, you can sign up for free. That's it, folks. I know it can be a little rough out there right now, so please be kind to each other and have a fabulous week. I'll see you soon.